Hello. Today's workshop is going to be about reading instruction in all content areas, created by Amy Bailey, Jill Brooks, and Tracy Castleberry. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to do a think, pair, share. We're going to ask you to please take an index card and write down ways that you incorporate reading instruction into your classroom. And all teachers do this, not just reading instructors, but content area teachers do as well. Once you've finished, find a partner, introduce yourself, your grade level, and your content area, and then share your strategies. Please continue doing that until you have met everybody in here. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to complete that. All right, would anybody like to share their reading instruction strategies with the group? The purpose of this workshop today is to provide you with real strategies that you can use in your classroom to help reach students who struggle with content area reading in the areas of language arts, social studies, science, and mathematics. We're going to be focusing on two main areas: reading in the content area and using vocabulary skills to support readers. We're going to discuss how to scaffold the content, how you can have your students work in whole groups, small groups, or individually, and how to engage students with various word learning activities. Our goal for this PowerPoint is to give you valuable resources to use in your reading instruction to provide authentic learning opportunities for your students in all content areas. So before we get started on the strategies, we're going to take a moment to discuss the definitions. Basically, reading comprehension is an ability to understand the meaning or importance of something. So you're reading something, and students reading it, they have to be able to understand what it means and how it's important. And vocabulary is all about words. The words in the language are a special set of words that you're trying to learn. And of course, those two things are very closely related to each other when it comes to reading instruction, because you have to know the vocabulary in order to comprehend what you're reading. So content area reading is very important for many reasons. Whether or not we like it or not, regardless of content we teach, we're all reading instructions. Albert 2010. That basically means it doesn't matter whether you teach science or math or social studies, we're still instructors of reading because all of those content areas have reading integrated into them. As students progress through school, of course, our focus here is first grade, it's elementary. But as students progress through school, it becomes more difficult, the material. The textbooks are technical and full of challenging texts. And high-stakes testing poses a challenge for students to be able to retain what they read. As they move through school, Georgia milestones become more and more content-based. So it's important at such a young age that teachers support their students in the content area reading. So strategies for content area reading are text structuring, teaching students how to use footnotes, figures, captions, and bold print. Walk through the textbook in large or small groups. Help to create flashcards, guided notes for reading, and questioning. Guide students through the material. Here's a sample passage with guided questions on the first grade level about the fox and the frog. So the passage is there, and then there are some guided questions to help the students comprehend what they have read. Some more strategies for content area reading are previewing text, reading for a purpose, making predictions and connections, doing think alouds, using graphic organizers, and creating a high interest classroom library. All of those strategies will help build a firm foundation for reading instruction for these young students and for older students as well. The last one's very, very important, creating a high interest classroom library, because if there's something there that the students will want to read, then they're more likely to pick up the book to read. A graphic organizer would be like a KWL, or I'm going to show you something called the flip strategy a little bit later, which helps to preview. And these are all very important ways to integrate content area reading into your classroom. And I'm gonna show you the videos a little bit later when I show you the website. So some ways to improve content area reading: text structure analysis, how content area texts are structured; the textbook walkthroughs, how content walkthroughs, how content and textbooks are laid out and where to find the information; before, during, and after reading activities. This would be prior knowledge, previewing, encourage to ask and answer questions and make connection to the text; questioning, give students opportunities to ask and answer questions. And that goes a little bit further than just asking and answer questions as well, because teachers can also give students the opportunity to talk about how they're feeling about the text that they're reading or what questions they might have about it. Vocabulary strategies, word maps, collaborative glossaries, classification, and categorization activities. And we're going to show you a vocabulary strategy as well. Balanced Literacy is a program that strikes a balance between both whole language and phonics. The 5 components to balanced literacy instruction are the read aloud, having students read aloud; guided reading, where the teacher is guiding the students through the reading material; shared reading is where the students are reading to each other; independent reading is where you take that high interest classroom library that you have and you encourage the students to read on their own; and word study, of course, would be studying words, the vocabulary that's in the text that you're reading. I'm going to show you something called vocabulary learning targets in just a moment. The explicit vocabulary instruction would be pre-teaching the vocabulary words, repeating exposure to the words, the keyword method, word maps, and root analysis. And especially for ELL students or students that are struggling readers, you can restructure the reading materials to make it a little bit easier for them to get through the material. And that's going to give them a feeling of success when they can do that. And that's, of course, going to make them more interested in reading, because if children feel successful at something, then they're more likely to do it. Implicit vocabulary instruction would be incidental learning, like making vocabulary instruction fun by using a game; and context skills, reading those words in context and teaching the children how to figure out what the words mean. Okay, this is using vocabulary to make prediction. And basically, they can use the vocabulary and the text that they read to make predictions about what's happening, the setting, the characters, the problem, the actions, the resolutions, and questions. And then there's even a spot at the bottom for them to jot down any strange or unfamiliar words that they can find. And this is a really good strategy, and it actually encourages students to use the words, to use the vocabulary, and to articulate that. All right, the word storm, where you take a word and then the students answer questions about it. Write the sentence the word is used. What are some words that you think of when you see this word? Do you know of any other forms of the word? If so, what are they? Name 3 people who would likely use the word. And can you think of any other words that mean the same thing? So this would be a focus on a specific word. This is the flip strategy for previewing text. Students can flip through whatever they're reading, and they can, the first one for the flip, they can, what type of print, topic, writing style do you see? Look at the visuals. What can you learn from them? Information, what headings, indexes do you see? Predictions, how will the story be told, or what will you learn from the text? What type of challenges will you face? All right, so some resources and games and some credits here. Credits continued. And we'll get back to the ticket out the door after I show you the website. Here's the website that goes along with our reading workshop. So the workshop itself, the screencast, will be at this first link here. I'm going to update that as soon as I'm finished with this screencast, and then you'll have that to watch. Then I'm going to show you a couple of examples of first grade reading, and then something called the quick fire vocabulary game. Now this video is 9 minutes long, so I'm just going to play a couple of minutes of it for you, but you'll be able to watch the whole thing at your leisure.
All right, boys and girls, today I'm just going to cover. All right, this is the book we have, and you can tell me what the title of this book is. No,
The Careful Crocodile.
what is it again?
The Careful Crocodile.
I'll say that together.
The Careful Crocodile.
What does it mean to be careful? Someone's careful.
Careful, like careful, it's like when you feel like an egg, don't make it black.
I like how Naomi said egg. Look at this reptile right here. What reptile do you see?
Alligator. Crocodile.
A crocodile. He looks like an alligator. And what do you think this crocodile would have to be careful about?
Because there's eggs that it's hatching and it's waiting for it. So they have to be extra careful because they have to go like that because they don't want to disturb the eggs or step on it.
Okay. And point to where you think the eggs are going to be stored in this story. They're definitely in this little nest right here. And I want to introduce you to something new that you may not have heard before. Look at this green back here. You see this?
Yes.
This is called a fern. Can you say fern? Fern. What special sound does fern have inside of it? Fern. Good job. It has the sound. So when you come to the word fern, you're going to know. Not air. Fern. Yes.
The first, and I know why she covers it because, like, in Australia, there's these ostriches who steal chicken eggs.
So you have a connection. And Evan brings up a good point. Did you hear how he said something about stealing eggs? Let me tell you, someone tries to steal somebody in the store. While you're reading today, okay, you're going to read silently, and while you're reading, when I tap like this, you know that means I can hear your voice. And also, you're going to be thinking about two things. You're going to be thinking about the problem in the story. Remember, the problem is what's happening that's not so great. And then you're going to look for the solution. What's the solution?
The answer.
How the problem got
Stored
in place, or how the problem got solved.
Okay, this was an excellent example of guided reading. The teacher employed many different strategies there. She had some phonics, and she also had some vocabulary strategies. She wrote the words up on her little easel there so the children could see it. She allowed them to ask and answer questions. She basically told them what they're going to be looking for when they're reading. She told them exactly how she wanted them to read it. And that was just a very excellent example of first grade and how the teacher can guide the reading instruction. And that would be an example of a small group. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is the quick fire vocabulary game. Okay, that was the vocabulary game called Quickfire Vocabulary. Just an example of the incidental learning where you're using a game and the children are learning, but they don't necessarily know that they are. And I find, even as a high school teacher, that games are very effective. You kind of trick them into learning and they have fun at the same time. All right, the second page of the website are our resources. I have everything here. You've already seen the PowerPoint, of course, but it's there for you. You've seen the vocabogram, which is on the PowerPoint. You've seen the word storm, but you haven't seen the vocabulary learning strategies yet. So I was going to go ahead and show those to you real quick. The vocabulary learning targets. Now, I'm a high school teacher, so these are geared towards high school, but it's a Word document, so you can go in and erase the words and put any words you'd like on there. So this is actually my unit on speed and acceleration. So basically what you have is you have a wheel, and you put the vocabulary terms in the center, and then they have to do a definition and an example and picture of words, and then they have to connect the terms together. So for a first grade example, you could have like, and there's a 4-spoke one and a 3-spoke one, so you can put them into 3s or 4s. So for example, for first grade, you could have like frog and turtle, and then they could talk about what the frog is, draw a little picture of the frog, talk about what the turtle is, draw a little picture of the turtle, and then they have to connect the terms together and say frogs and turtles both live in ponds, which is an excellent way for students to make connections to the words. So that is there for you to use. And like I said before, it is a Word document, so you can change it any way that you would like. All right. Also, our contact page, if you have any questions, you can contact us at any time and we will be glad to help you. So I was just going to give you a few minutes to finish your ticket out the door. So for your ticket out the door today, if you'll take an index card and write one thing you have learned from this workshop, something you would like to know more about, and one or more strategies you have learned about today that you will incorporate in your classroom. So feel free to take about 2 or 3 minutes to do that. Thank you very much for coming, and please feel free to email us with any questions that you have.